All right, folks, glad to be with you all for another day and getting ready to give a talk. And I'm giving a talk about a product I created that went live several projects ago. And it's a product that is tech-based and it's designed to provide value to users on demand 24/7. One of the things that I think has really moved me and inspired me is the speed of tech and how it continues to evolve and grow fast. And with this particular product, I desired to create it several years ago, but the infrastructure pieces needed for me to do the pieces that I am capable of doing didn't exist. And I remember going through this iterative process and creating versions of this thing. And I did not like it. I didn't think it worked. I didn't think it made sense. And it definitely did not meet the need that I was seeking to address with my customers. That is like the thing here that I want to kind of highlight and stress. It didn't meet the need because I had a vision of how I was trying to serve my customers and the experience I wanted them to have. And the tech, the infrastructure, the system did not exist in the way that I needed it to exist. And so I created this thing some years ago. I put it on the back burner. But the components I created still existed. And then there was like this slow iterative process. So fast forward, I think a good couple of years, and the technology exploded and the tools exploded, the infrastructure exploded, the concepts exploded. I went back to work. I went back to creating and building this thing that now exists. And once I got the remaining pieces of tech that I needed to do what I wanted to create, we went live. There was no perfect way to roll out this thing. There was no perfect way to, hit the ground running. In fact, it was just a launch in the middle of an existing customer project that we said, this is the time. Now's the time. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. Let's test it. And let's see how the customer reacts. The short story is we got a great customer reaction. It was awesome. And so our team has sought to continue to build this thing out. And what we've learned is that the customer use cases that we assumed a couple of years ago when we were waiting for the tech to advance was not the case. And so the customers, they don't use it the way we thought they would. But we learned that the customers that we serve use the tech in a way that applies to their right now needs, which has evolved since the original creation of the tool. And what we also learned, which is why I'm giving my talk today, the application of the tool we created is much more broader than we thought and than we anticipated. The consequence of this, which is a good consequence, is that we believe that we created a cool product that can span across multiple industries, applications, multiple customer types. And this is why I'm giving my talk today, to somewhat introduce the tool to people. We're not pitching or selling, but we're introducing its application and usage. And I'm sharing this particular video as people starting to come in, the idea that when you create as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, in the case of you watching this video, perhaps a micro business owner, do not quit on the creation process. It may not manifest the way that you intended, but it will manifest in the ways that it's supposed to for the customer that is supposed to use it and leverage it. Keep working, keep grinding, keep building. Don't let the barriers that currently exist limit you, but continue to create. And so as I prepare to give this talk and walk through the tech, I'm excited to talk about it. I'm going to actually share snippets of the talk, and I may share a little snippet of the video walkthrough I created, which I will talk to of the tool being used. And just don't quit. Don't stop. The journey continues. See you on the other side. Yeah. Thank you. Hope you guys got a lot out of that. It's really a lot of good information. I think I only have 10 minutes left before we head over to lunch. I wanted to respond to a number of things that you guys mentioned. So I'm the person in the presentation that you guys were talking about, right? I'm not on staff. I'm not a parent. I'm not necessarily the stakeholder that you're thinking of, but I'm the small business owner. And I think there are a lot of assumptions about how to engage business owners, and it is much different than engaging the bank. So I'm going to kind of talk to some of what I heard and reference some of my notes, and I may get to this. The one thing I'll say as a fundraiser for nonprofits and municipalities and school districts is that the way you engage some of these businesses is I think includes some of what you're talking about. But you got to understand that the banks are doing this in part because they are getting paid to do this. All right. This is a distinction I think we just got to be honest about. Everybody in this room that does work around mentoring is getting compensated. When you talk about banks specifically, they're no different because depending on the bank, they have X number of hours that they get paid to be outside the branch and in the community. In the case of this conversation, the hope is that they are choosing to be in your school and in your program. And so there's nothing being lost here. The challenge is, how do you convince that person who has to step out of the bank to step into your school and engage as a mentor? The other challenge, and I'll just flip through this because I don't think I'm going to talk to any of this, so feel free to take a peek at whatever you have. So if that is the case, the question that you got to wrestle with is, what's appealing about my program that's going to cause a working professional to come to my program or to my school? The why. Now, I do confront some of my partners and funders about why they're on site, because I do fundraise through banks, and the reality is they are selling a product at some point, right? They do need to get folks into their branch, or they need to have folks utilize their product. And so there's an acknowledgement to his point about branding and how you articulate who's the sponsor. And so you want to kind of give credence to that. So they're not taking off work for 40 hours a year just to high five a bunch of kids and say, you can do it. They do want to do that, but they also want to sell products to their caregivers or to the adults. So I'm telling you this so you're not shy about it. Like, acknowledge it, call it out for what it is. It's a business proposition. It's a business proposition for them and for you. You want to best serve your kids, but they want to also volunteer and sell more products, whatever they are, whether it's starting starter accounts or loan products, or one of the stories I'll share is that maybe they're setting this particular kid up to become a customer at some point, right? If the kid is 13, 14, and 4 years from now they get their first job and they need to think about a bank to go to, who do you think they're going to consider? Either the bank that their parents bank at, or I remember this guy from this particular bank. He was really nice to me. I'm going to go there because I'm just going to go there. Does that make sense? All right. A couple other things. Some of the stuff seems maybe familiar to you guys. A couple other notes I wanted to highlight. My perspective of mentoring is a lot different than what I heard in this room. What I heard in this room sounded like a lot of one-off or short-term engagements. Almost like the junior achievement model, where you have business professionals come in for a couple hours or a day, and then you don't hear from them for the rest of the year just because of schedules. The perspective I bring is that I didn't do that. What we built for Milner School, which is where Watson is the principal of, Milner Middle School, was more of a long-term mentoring engagement relationship. So we were there 2 days a week for multiple hours for the entire school year. And so when you look at some of the things that you see here, these are things that we focused on, and we focused on things that were more culture related, because we're not tutors, we're not education professionals, we're not wannabe teachers or shadow teachers, we're not trying to take your role. We were trying to support the school because we know that resources are limited and staffing is limited. And there was an opportunity, and so I worked with Watson in multiple capacities prior to the program that I'm getting ready to show you now, and we decided to extend our relationship. And so these were some of my goals, some of the challenges that he was trying to resolve, and he didn't have enough staff to do it. So it's not like I was chasing kids around to deal with attendance or behavior issues or reduce suspensions. It's just the fact that the program that we built was created to address some of the challenges that he felt was critical and that the district called out. So we created this program called 3 Levels of Prep. And our program happened to be about in entrepreneurship, right? So I heard some things about training mentors and how do you prep them. I think there were some good things shared. I think there's an alternative view that there may be some groups already pre-wired to do this. Now, the unique thing about what we did or what we offered is the fact that I come from the nonprofit world. And so I'm kind of like you guys, and I know how this works. And so I brought what I had to the table, and it was already set up like that. Now, we designed these modules to accomplish some learning objectives for the students. This is just something I came up with. It's not like it's like, something that's going to be earth shattering, but it was something to something I heard before. It was something that was in alignment with my skills and my abilities, my interests, my capacity, the folks that I hired to bring in. These are the things that we do all day, right? In terms of developing businesses. And so we felt from a youth perspective, particularly a middle school perspective, we wanted to address leadership issues, finances, and not talking about how to open up your first bank account, because you can bring in a bank to do that, to this conversation. But what does financial conversations look like, particularly for kids of color, and then entrepreneurship and career education. I have a career workforce development background, so I didn't want to address that, but I wanted to talk about workforce from the view of starting a business for real. Right? Because you live in a community, you're black and brown, you're a young kid, and you see a bunch of businesses in the community and you wonder how they did it. Or is it legal? So we want to talk about the right way to do this. Now, these are some of the results that we were able to achieve over a multi-year period. I think this satisfied the needs of the district, satisfied the need of the principal, which was important, right? They have goals and objectives too, like you guys got. The bankers you're bringing in, they don't care about this stuff. They won't understand your goals to reduce absenteeism rates, reduce behavioral outbursts, reduce recorded behavioral that are documented. They're not caring about improving academic performance. But the program that we built was designed to accommodate and complement what the school district was working on. Does that make sense? All right. So in order to do that, I'll highlight this. And if you can just play this in the background while I'm looking at my notes. In order to do this, and I want to be frank with you, as a small business owner, there had to be something in it for me. It's not simply, you're going to appeal to my emotions to mentor some kids. I got 3 at home, right? And I'm a pastor, and so I don't need any more kids on my docket. So that doesn't necessarily work, right? So we got to talk business. In the case of this conversation, what we're talking about, there was an RFP on the street. And it followed some work I already did for free for Principal Watson. Now, what I did for free was already paid for by a separate funder. So one of the things that's missing from this conversation is, remember, you're paid to do your work. The small business owner has to be paid as well. So Aristide talked about bringing in other nonprofits and organizations. I want to close the loop on that. The way you do that is bringing in folks who have resources that can be diverted to your mentors. You cannot, I'm going to tell you what I tell my customers all the time. You can't build a program off the back of volunteers. It just doesn't work. I know there's a fantasy about it, but it just is not true, because there's no consistency, as you guys talked about. There's no commitment. There's no reason to stay committed. So there has to be something in it for the small business owner. In the case of the app you see behind me, there was money behind it. There was a contract released by the school district. Prior to this contract, we had a grant with the nonprofit that I worked with, and we decided, and this was my decision, as a nonprofit executive, my work was outside the school to deal with workforce for 18 to 24-year-olds. So I wanted my staff to give back, and I wanted them to mentor at the middle school level. The connection and the rationale was for us, again, this is a business decision. A lot of the older brothers and sisters we were helping at the workforce level, 18-24, they were the older brothers and sisters of kids at the particular middle school that we cared about. And so we wanted to prevent some of the younger brothers and sisters from becoming a statistic. So it became a business decision and an investment. And that's how I began to work with Watson and began to, quote, volunteer. But we were paid to be there. But I wanted to be there as a strategic decision as a nonprofit exec. So once I left the nonprofit and I started working in my business full time, again, I responded to an RFP. Now, some of your districts may not have RFPs on the street, and I don't know how to respond to that, except that you got to work with your administrators on a budget. But some of the things I'll say to you in terms of how to compensate folks, again, if there's an RFP, let the small business owner know. Number 2, another option could be per diem, right? You can pay an honorarium or a per diem fee. It's not about the size of the per diem or the honorarium, it's the thought that counts, right? You may be giving away $10 in a gift card. It doesn't matter. Whatever your budget can afford, be upfront. It's the consideration. Because I think you mentioned it earlier, a small business owner has a lot less resources and a lot less time to give, and yet you're asking a lot of us. Now, if you find me, I don't know what answer you're going to get, right? Because there is the professional in me that understands your plight. There's the other side of me that says, I am so busy, I don't have time. Has nothing to do with care. So you communicate care through a per diem or honorarium. The third way to compensate a small business owner is through, and I heard some of this, but finding a pathway to approve student-led projects that leads to the bottom line of a small business. So it's not about come visit my shop and hang out with me. That costs money. If you shadow me for the day, it costs me a lot of money to stop what I'm doing to introduce and explain what's going on. Right? But if we have a relationship where it's kind of over a semester or the school year and the kids get to participate in a project that actually helps me, that actually benefits not only the business owner, but the children as well, because they get to participate in something that's very real. Does that make sense to you guys? It's somewhat like an internship. We're not calling it that, right? But it's the same concept, right? So what you're seeing behind me, and when it stops playing, Aristide, you can just loop it again. So what you're seeing behind me was an attempt by my team and I to do mass mentoring for a high school of 700 kids. Now, our team isn't that big, and there isn't that much money in the world to do that. I love what Aristide said a few moments ago, that there are levels of students that you deal with. They're your, I would call green, yellow, and red. Your green students don't need as much hand-holding. They can roll along with you, and you know that they're doing well. You can have conversations and then make adjustments. But this app was built primarily for the majority of students who were in yellow. Right, who need some more hand-holding. The students who are red, they need some extreme attention, right? So you can't build this app for your greens and your reds because the behavioral approach is different. It's for the yellows. The majority of your students are kind of on that border. They need more help. They're confused. They're not sure what's happening. And so this app that you're watching me play with behind me was our attempt to figure out how to serve the masses, the 80%, by way of this app. This app is showing you how students can interact with our system and our curriculum. This particular student is curious about, they're supposed to be an 8th grader. They're curious about starting a sneaker business, and they wanted to get some advice on what to do. And so they're asking questions. And so the AI that we built based upon our curriculum is responding to them. And so this is what you're watching. At the end of this, the student can schedule a consultation with their mentor by clicking the link. Some of the things that Aristide talked about, having the systems in place, that's the least you can do. Having shared calendars, having accessibility, ways for students to get on the docket on a regular basis. This app was designed for that. The bottom line for me, I didn't build a mentoring app for the sake of building mentoring apps and to sell it to folks. I actually built it for another customer, for another type of customer. And because there was an opportunity released by the local school district, I thought this would be a great opportunity to pilot this at mass. So at the end of the day, I just want to leave you, as my time is wrapping up, don't forget that business owners they're thinking about business. They care about the community, but there has to make some business sense. So let me pause and open up for questions and reflections before we let you guys go to lunch. It is the app. Oh, it's called Impact Bud, but it is not public. It is not public. It is for those that we work with. So it's not something you can download and start using. It is a paid service. Yeah. Oh, it's out there. It ain't free. Yeah. Other questions? Thoughts about what I shared regarding small business owner concerns? Yeah.
I'm very intrigued by this. Can you just tell us a little bit more about, I mean, we've been watching this, but it's a tool for mentors to plan their conversations with the students? Or?
No, it's a tool to extend the capacity of mentors, because your mentors cannot be everywhere at the same time. I mean, he gave examples, right? And I'm sure you have your own. If you have X number of kids that's in your portfolio that you got to take care of, and you got the folks that really need your attention, those who are in the red, you got to spend more time with them. It's tools like these that allows you to free up and invest the time that you need for the kids that really need the human component. But for the kids that are able to jump on while you're doing the humanistic stuff, this is what it's for.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep.
I appreciate you acknowledging that, yeah, the per diem, honorarium, and even just saying like the gift card, because that's probably all that we would be able to do.
Right.
But I do not like asking people to give up their time and labor for free.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's been where I've been stuck. Like, I could
Yeah.
see asking someone to come in for a day,
Yeah.
but if
Yeah.
we want an ongoing
wanna
relationship,
continue.
we gotta figure.
So one thing I'll leave with you as we wrap up is you have access to money. So I don't know how each district works, but if you are allowed and able to pursue grants at the school level, specifically for your programs, I'm going to challenge you to do that. Here's the issue. It's highly competitive. You got non-school district competitors in this room. You got people like me who still may compete for some grants. So it's not a walk in the park. It is a process. I encourage you, if you've never done this before, I want you to look at your local foundation or a foundation that you care deeply about who may fund this stuff. Even if the grant application deadline has passed, I want you to study the grant application. I want you to design and rework your mentoring program to align with the application of the funder, because a lot of the things you may have created might not meet the need that the funder is looking to fund. And I want you to practice your pitch, not only the verbal pitch, but the written pitch, because funders are going to be reading this. And I want you to test your model again so that when the cycle comes up for funding, you'll have a better product to put out there. And then maybe at that point, you may be able to bring on some mentors and compensate them at some level.
Speaking of extended periods of time, being able to go into a district and over a period of time, what if you don't have that amount of time? What if it's just
great.
A guest speaker to impact a group?
Same concept, same mentality. Just understand you're going to get different results, right? Because what Aristide was talking about is typically that one-off kind of limited engagement. What we did with Principal Watson, he identified, and this is something else that came up about training students. He identified the students that would match our program curriculum, who he thought would take advantage of it and do really well in it. Secondly, he gave us their homeroom slot, which is typically their morning slot before they get to class. And he gave it to us twice a week for the entire school year. And he brought the homeroom teacher into the class as a part of it, so that teacher can still do whatever they need to do administratively. It became a partnership. So if you're looking to do long term, it just becomes a strategy of scheduling and planning around that.
And can I just speak to Mr. Watson, who is a champion for mentoring?
Yeah.
When we were at Simpson Waverly, he had 18 community programs and businesses inside of his school. He recognized the need for that. There was a church that came in and they read to the first and second graders to help them with their academic support.
Yeah.
He had UConn there. We were a grant-funded program that came in to supply mentoring to 100 students.
And the distinction is, this was not forced on him. He wanted it.
He wanted it.
So the person you're talking about being the point person, Watson, typically you won't see a principal doing that, but Watson pursued all of these opportunities on his own. And so that is a distinction between him and other schools.
Yeah, it's sometimes there's a social worker,
Yeah.
sometimes there's a school counselor.
Yeah.
Other times it's the family resource person
Yeah.
that does that brings people in. I've had conversations with many school resource folks that want to.
Hey family, so we just left the event. I'm at a cafe here and about to set up shop and get to work. But I wanted to just record this and just highlight how good the presentation was. I think there should be some clips playing before this particular video or even while I'm talking. But again, as I said in the previous segment, it's all about presenting and it's all about putting out there the work that you've done. Now, one of the things that I find fascinating, this product I presented today, isn't a product that I actively sell. It's actually part of a suite of services I offer. And even though I have a tech background, I have experiences in the tech world. I am not a SaaS company. We don't operate a SaaS company. Although I can see our company moving in that direction. But it is a product that's complementary to what we do at our core, at our company. And I often get that question, where can I access the tool? How can I buy it? And the truth is, it's not available for purchase. And there's like intentionality behind that, because I don't want to be something that I'm not, even though there's capability and capacity there. And maybe that's a lesson for somebody where you have skills in multiple areas, you have multiple abilities, you have experiences. Hey, you have experiences that can add value in so many ways to people. So, yeah, you don't have to sell things that you're not capable of delivering well. And that's one of the things that I've been navigating through. We would have to build the team and infrastructure to actually deliver consistently, and we would have to adjust our sales pitch to be more SaaS focused, so that we can make sense to the folks that we want to sell to, and we have to price different, right? What the way we price for our services is much different than what we would price or how we would price for a software, and so that learning curve is tremendous. Guys, I mean, we tell these stories because there's so many lessons and nuggets in what I just shared, right? That you can't jump from one industry or service type to another thinking it's the same. It's not the same. And so I'm very cautious about me releasing and talking about this product. Yet it exists. Yet it works. Yet I think it's awesome. And yet a lot of our customers are using it, but we don't lead with that. We don't sell that. We don't market it at all. And I'll leave you with this part of the story, right? When we started our company, we started as a fundraising company because we thought that we would not be attractive to the customers we want to serve if we sold strategy services or leadership services. I got feedback from mentors and people who were doing this. Check out our previous segment here. I talked about this. Got feedback from a mentor who said, I wouldn't buy from you, and I'm your target customer because of your age. And I also knew that that person was right, but I also knew that my skin color would be a issue, a dynamic that I would have to quietly deal with. So too many things working against me, but deciding to focus on fundraising as the mechanism for our services and the thing that we were selling, it was very strategic and intentional. One, because we got really, really good at it. Two, all the old G's that were doing this work aged out and they were retiring. Three, there would be a welcome desire. There was a welcome, a black face would be welcomed, right? It is what it is, y'all, right? And I didn't have to shy away from my blackness. And then four, at the end of the day, because of what I was selling, what people cared about more than anything else was, can you help us raise money for our worthy cause? And the answer was yes. And so we focused on something that we were good at, and it evolved from there. We still do fundraising services, but we do much more than that. But what's missing from that is the tech. And yet, what has powered our team, what has powered our work, what has powered our services has been the tech behind the scenes. Powerful stuff. Listen, I think there's so many nuggets to pull on that, quite frankly, all these nuggets could be their own individual video and story. But I think the thing you might want to take away from this is stay focused. And even though I presented a tech product today, a tech solution today, it was all a part of a service that I offered. That was the main thing. It wasn't the tech. The tech was cool and got some oohs and ahs. People were very interested. But it is a part of a broader product suite of services that we offer. And despite the positive reaction, I'm staying focused. I suspect in 3 to 5 years we'll become a SaaS company because of what we built and the reaction, and because we know our customers well. Stay tuned, right? But that is not my focus. And we're going to naturally evolve to that space. I'm creating space for that. We're going to allow context to color our view and allow customer feedback to empower what we do and how we do it and when we do it. But we're going to stay focused on what we do well now, because here's the secret. What we do well now will have an impact on our ability to become a SaaS company later. And that's how we make the transition. Hope you found this helpful. See you on the next episode or segment. See you on the next segment. I'm leaving this in there just because it is what it is, y'all. Let's just get it out there. All right. Peace. Hey fam, so I just wrapped up a couple of meetings with some folks, and one of the things that I was reminded of as I met with folks back to back was the importance of making it personal, right? And what I mean by that is when you connect with people and you are looking to do business with them, there's a personal element to business, and that connection means everything. Your inability to be personal or personable can create gaps in your ability to find a pathway forward where you all can do business and connect. And in both meetings, there were some really good conversations, but it began on a personal note, finding ways that myself and these two different individuals can connect beyond the work, but to do great things because we have these connecting points in our lives that mean a lot to us. And so I'm reminded every time I have these meetings how important it is to connect and to find the reason why we're in the same space, the reason why we are doing the same work, the reason why we value the same things. And so even with the micro business and even with your business in its budding stages, it matters that you find a connection with these individuals. And it matters that you understand their why. And it matters that you understand how they got to where they are and what's keeping them engaged. And so at the end of the day, you, my friend, you got to make it personal. You got to keep it personal. You have to find your connecting point with individuals that you're doing business with. And whether it's personal things like kids, like my daughter hugging on me, or your personal interests in life, or personal interests that have taken you through these ups and downs, these ebbs and flows that have brought you here. There's a reason why you're doing this work, and there's a reason why you're connecting with this person and why they want to connect with you. Don't shy away from that. It matters.